So how do we honor the gas plant? But also, you know, it's such a source, right, of history and joy and a lot of pain as well. And of course, more recently, more graves were found under parking lots at Tropicana Field. So how does the city move forward, or any master developer, whoever redevelops this land, how do you honor the gas plant? How do you deal with graves and honor them? How do you move forward with that and yet pay homage to what was there?
Sure. Well, I mean, the issue of the graves, I mean, there are protocols that anthropologists and archaeologists used to how you handle when you come across a grave, how to exhume it respectfully. And so I think that's sort of a problem that is, we're not the first ones to face that, and that there are ways to deal with it as development goes forward. If you find graves, there are ways to handle that. As far as more widely respecting the community that was promised so much and received so little, I think there's both concrete things that we do and there's symbolic things that we do. So the concrete things is to honor the efforts that I thought were in the community benefits agreement, whether they would have come to fruition or not, to include training programs, to include hiring requirements, to include cultural and public facilities like the African American History Museum that really speak for, and of course, affordable housing woven throughout the project to provide homes that are affordable to people who maybe they themselves hadn't lived in the gas plant, but they could be descendants of people, or could have been people who had been displaced from there. So those are concrete things. But I also think that we say a lot with street names and with building names and with historical plaques. Maybe not everyone's like this, but I cannot pass up a historical plaque without reading it. And you learn a lot about what went on in the space you're standing in, such as the land acknowledgement we got at the beginning of this, which I thought was so moving. And so I think it's really on the level of both concrete benefits and symbolic recognition.
Okay.
The point about names is incredibly important. In that documentary, there were a number of different sub-neighborhoods within the gas plant district that people said, oh, we were from this particular neighborhood. So I think figuring out a way to incorporate those into anything moving forward, and just simply said that anything is going to be better than a parking lot and an ugly stadium moving forward.
I agree with everything that was said. For me as an environmentalist, I would feel better having an assessment done, because if there's graves and things and bodies or what's there, I think we need to know what's there. And so an assessment may be appropriate. And then honoring the descendants and the families of the descendants that paved the way for that development and for those generations that followed decades later. But for me, again, I need an assessment. I need to know what is in that soil, what is there, what's toxic, what's not, and how do we move forward. I was in New York 9/11. I relocated, shortly thereafter. So being a part of that community, knowing what's there at the World Trade Center, and not being able to move on until we knew what was underground. You really can't build in good faith and with a clean spirit and heart, knowing that you may have left things there that are not, one, healthy for the community and the environment, and does not respect the descendants of those communities.
I would want to echo everything that Erica and Liz have said. It's a damn shame what happened to our neighbors in our community, and it needs to be taken with the utmost seriousness. It can be done as part of a redevelopment plan, but it's a very big deal.
Okay. Ms. Davis, I think you're the only one up here who went to the gas plant and frequented the gas plant.
And
Raise
it
your mic.
represented, I think, the idea of the gas plant area is almost miscommunicated. That area was a section of, and the fringes around it, was a system of neighborhoods that came together and formed life for people who lived in those areas to deal with persisting life problems and to create a community for themselves. That was a city within a city. That's what it was. It was a city within a city. There was Fifth Avenue with the nice homes where the professionals lived, the doctors lived, the funeral home. It was anchored by some very nice, there I am saying nice again, very well constructed churches. There was, and then on 3rd Avenue, there were homeowners, just like on 5th Avenue, and businesses. And then 2nd Avenue was like probably the first strip mall that I knew about. And the businesses on 2nd Avenue were all African American owned. Hat shops, tea rooms. And
Miss Davis has some fans.
and then in the yes, the musicians came to the Manhattan Casino, but on 2nd Avenue there was an Elks Hall where the social clubs had their nice formal dances and women had teas. There was Citizens Restaurant. There were all of those businesses were owned by African Americans. Photographers. I worked my first year in St. Pete at Davis Elementary School. Across the street was Bethel Metropolitan Church. In fact, thank you, the Harlem Theater. But that area, like I said, was a city within a city, and African Americans had a life that had vitality in that city. Very very different from 22nd Avenue. I mean, from 22nd Street, which had a lot of very few businesses that were African American owned. They were owned by people who didn't look like me. And the drugstores, the supermarkets. Sidney Harden was not a food store. It was a service station. So it was to commemorate that area, you need to really know what we're remembering, and to do it properly.
All right.